Hello everyone and welcome to the weird, scary and horrible parts of humanity. Today we are looking at the first American defector to North Korea after the Korean War, Larry Allen Abshier. Abshier was born in 1943 in Urbana in Illinois in the United States of America, which as of 2020 has a population of 38,336 people. At the time of Abshier's birth, the population was about 14,000. His family moved to Garfield Heights in Ohio, with his father running a petrol station 10 miles away in Cleveland, Ohio. However, his family life was problematic, and at the age of 14 he was designated as a ward of the state, a person who is under legal responsibility of the government as a foster child under custody of a public child welfare agency. As a result, he was sent to the Illinois Soldiers and Sailors Children's School, founded by the state of Illinois for orphans of the Civil War in 1865, and located in Normal in McLean County in Illinois. It was eventually closed in 1979 due to the dwindling number of orphans in the state of Illinois and is today abandoned. At the age of 17 in 1961, Abshier, having not graduated from high school and being described as a troubled screw-up, enlisted into the US Army. With the Korean War having ended on the 27th of July 1953, Private Larry Allen Abshier was sent as part of a 1st Reconnaissance Squadron, 9th Cavalry, and 1st Cavalry Division, which is based in Fort Hood, Texas, to the demilitarized zone, and served on the South Korean-North Korean border. However, during his deployment in South Korea, Abshier began smoking weed on a near-daily basis, including while on duty, and was caught with it between 5 and 6 times, according to fellow US defector to North Korea, Private First Class James Joseph Dresnok. Abshier was already in trouble and on reduced pay, having been tried at court-martial for drunkenness and leaving his post. As a result of his constant marijuana usage, the plan was for Abshier to be either court-martialed or potentially kicked out of the army and sent back to the United States of America. Problem was, as a de facto foster child, there was really nothing for him to go back to for the teenage Abshier in the United States of America. As a result, 19-year-old Abshier abandoned his post in South Korea on the 28th of May 1962, creeping away from his base and crossed over the demilitarized zone into North Korea, the first soldier of the United States of America to defect to North Korea since the end of the Korean War. He would never leave North Korea. On the 13th of June 1962, North Korean radio announced Abshier's defection, with Abshier stating that he couldn't stand a humiliating life in the American military and that he was conscience-stricken by the behaviour of the United States Army in South Korea, whatever that means. He was the only American in the Hermit Kingdom until August 1962, when he was joined by fellow defector First Class Private James Joseph Dresnok, with Abshier sent to meet Dresnok. Eventually they would be joined by Corporal Jerry Wayne Parrish and Sergeant Charles Robert Jenkins. The four became key propaganda pieces for the North Korean government, with pictures and recordings shared to the US and South Korean soldiers across the demilitarized zone. However, this was merely a facade, and according to Jenkins, they fought constantly, with Dresnok and Parrish bullying Abshier and calling him Lenny, the mentally challenged simpleton in John Steinbeck's novel of Mice and Men. Jenkins described Abshier as the most scared and simplest of the four defectors. For instance, Dresnok would make a mess and demand that Abshier clean it up. Abshier never stood up to the bullying until convinced to by Jenkins, who described Abshier as a simple, sweet, good-hearted soul who was more than a little dumb and easy to take advantage of. However, all of this is from Jenkins' account in his autobiography, The Reluctant Communist, while Dresnok, in a documentary called Crossing the Line, insisted that while the four did briefly fight, particularly when they were drunk and initially arrived in North Korea, what Jenkins stated in his autobiography was a lie, and Dresnok wished that Abshier was there to defend him. If you haven't seen Crossing the Line, it is on YouTube and is really worth checking out. Initially living in a 2-bedroom brick house in June 1965, the four men were moved into a 1-room house in Mangyongdae-guyok, one of the 18 guyoks or wards that constitute North Korea's capital Pyongyang and the birthplace of Kim Il-sung. They studied the writings of Kim Il-sung up to 11 hours a day and were forced into weekly self-criticism sessions where they confessed their mistakes before a government cadre. However, the force struggled to adjust, and in 1966 the four went to the Soviet embassy in Pyongyang, hoping to be given asylum, sent to the Soviet Union, and then used as something of a bargaining chip to make it back home to the United States of America. However, the Soviet Union wanted nothing to do with them, and they were sent back to their North Korean minders, with the North Korean government strengthening their control of the four as a result, and according to Dresnok they would educate them more, including learning Korean as well as the teachings of Kim Il-sung. Jenkins noted that Abshier struggled conversing and learning Korean, but gave it his best shot, spending hours studying high-level vocabulary from newspapers, as well as reading and memorizing passages by Kim Il-sung. Abshier did stick up for himself once to the North Korean government, and called the North Korean Workers' Party Gaesaki, Korean for son of a bitch, after North Korean cadres killed a pig that the Americans had been fattening up for months. The North Korean cadres pushed Abshier against a wall, and soldiers pointed AK-47s at him, demanding that he apologise for insulting the North Korean Workers' Party, or he would be killed. He immediately apologised. Abshier, along with the other US defectors, was offered North Korean citizenship in June 1972. He was then moved into a home with parish and began teaching English at a military academy from 1973 until 1976. Abshier, like Dresnok, Parish and Jenkins, was given a North Korean woman to be his cook and minder, as well as to have sex with him. As these women were thought to be infertile, having all divorced after a number of years of childless marriage, the North Korean government allowed these sexual relationships to proceed. However, the North Korean woman with whom Abshier was with became pregnant in 1978. According to Jenkins, the woman was then taken away, and she and her fetus were never seen again. In 1978, Abshier met the zenith of his propaganda worth in North Korea, starring in the North Korean war drama miniseries Unsung Heroes, telling the story of a spy in Seoul, South Korea during the Korean War. The epic was over 20 hours long and presented in 20 parts, and filmed and released in multiple parts between 1978 and 1981. It was recipient of the Kim Il-sung Medal. Abshier played the role of Carl, a captain in the US Secret Service, with his voice dubbed over in Korean. It is unknown if he was in any other propaganda movies while in North Korea, however this is his sole IMDb entry. It was not until 1996, when snippets of Unsung Heroes were released to the rest of the world, that the government of the United States of America could definitively determine that the 4 US defectors were in North Korea, and at least at the time of filming, Unsung Heroes were alive. In the same year as Unsung Heroes was initially filmed, Abshier was given another wife by the North Korean government. According to Dresnok, in Crossing the Line, this was a Korean woman. However, Jenkins insisted that this was a Thai woman named Anocha Panjoy. But how did this woman from San Kampingang in Chiang Mai, Thailand, make it to North Korea? Panjoy was a prostitute in Thailand, moving to the capital of Thailand, Bangkok, before moving to Macau, at the time a Portuguese territory, to work as a massage therapist at a local hotel. On the 21st of May 1978, Panjoy left her apartment, telling friends that she was going to a local beauty parlour, and according to Jenkins, Panjoy had agreed to take a Japanese tourist on a guided boat tour of Macau. On a nearby beach, she was ambushed, forced onto a boat, and taken against her will to North Korea. Abshier and Panjoy lived in what can only be described as a bizarre, forced consummation of marriage, with the North Korean government dictating how often and when the pair could have sex. They lived in an apartment in Pyongyang nearby fellow defector Abshier, who was married to Japanese abductee Hitomi Soga. Panjoy became close with Soga and Abshier during this time. On the 11th of July 1983, shortly after midnight, Abshier had a heart attack. Panjoy ran to Jenkins for assistance, but when Jenkins arrived, Abshier was beyond rescue and soon died. A minor celebrity in North Korea due to his propaganda value and his role in Unsung Heroes, Abshier's funeral was well serviced and funded by the North Korean government. He was left in a wooden coffin, covered with a red flag with his tombstone listing Pyongyang as his birthplace, becoming the first US defector to North Korea after the Korean War, as well as the first US defector to die. Thank you for watching. Please do yourself a favour and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to inform yourself of when new videos come out. Also, why not hit that like button and leave a nice comment? It helps more than you know, and your support is truly appreciated. Until next time, stay awesome, stay classy, be kind to everyone you meet, have an amazing day, and remember that truth is always more interesting than fiction.